आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate. Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by saying that without the slightest shred of exaggeration, let me deliver the headline to you. Rules have been changed in our country which will allow big billionaire companies, huge billionaire companies, big businessmen, very big businessmen, to destroy a mountain range. Just destroy it. Now, the government may say, the court may say, they're not going to destroy it. But the rules have been changed in a way that even if they destroy it, we can't do anything about it. I'm talking about the Aravalli range. This is 2 billion years old, and I'm sorry, with the greatest of respect to the Supreme Court of India, the Supreme Court of India did not make the Aravalli range. With the greatest of respect to the elected government of India, the presently elected government of India was not there 2 billion years back when the Aravallis were formed. A 1.6 billion year old ancient ecological shield stretching 700 kilometers across northwest India, which is part of the history of India, which is part of the ecology of India, which is part of the subcontinent we call the Indian subcontinent. The Supreme Court says that anything below 100 meters is not Aravallis. It's a low-lying range. The Supreme Court says anything below 100 meters is not Aravallis. Now, what does that allow? Because according to this ruling, only landforms 100 meters or higher are designated Aravalli districts. They will qualify as Aravalli Hills. Everything below that is expendable, legally expendable. So you can just bring the bulldozers and roll them over. You can destroy them. And we, the citizens of India, can't open our mouth about it. I thought this was a democracy. If this is a democracy, I want to know under what rule of democracy can you destroy a 2 billion year old ecological formation, a living mountain system, that you change the rules to allow it to be brought down to rubble. And the Supreme Court and the government come with a new definition that anything below this is not part of the Aravalli range. With the greatest of respect to the Supreme Court, I want to ask them, the honorable judges, and it's a legit question from Arnab Goswami to the Supreme Court of India. Honorable judges, who authorized the court to dilute the definition of the Aravallis? Honorable judges, on what constitutional authority does the Supreme Court convert a continuous geological system into a real estate-friendly contour map? Honorable Supreme Court of India, honorable judges, did government silently welcome this definition? Because everything below 100 meters now will become expendable, which means real estate giants can destroy the Aravallis and turn it into golf courses. Surrounded by 100 crore flats, close to the National Capital Region. Just imagine the amount of real estate that's opening up. Ladies and gentlemen, then foreign investors will come, team up with real estate companies, and real estate companies have a lot of political involvement in our country. We all know that. And by changing a definition, you will destroy the map of India. How is this being allowed? And if you question it, you'll be told, oh, you're NGO type. No. You're environment type. No. Does the BJP not talk about Paryavaran? Does the Prime Minister of India not say, keep talking about protecting the rivers, the geology, the living heritage of this country? Ladies and gentlemen, a country's civilization is not just politics or only politics. Civilization is heritage, and Aravallis are our heritage. No government, no Supreme Court can destroy it. I call tonight with the greatest of respect for a rethink on this by the government, and there are legal ways in which this can be put under review, and the Supreme Court of India should constitute a review on this. Because just because a 3-judge bench decided this, it cannot be the last word. The most population nation in the world, our future is at stake because of this. Ladies and gentlemen, in Rajasthan, where the Aravallis are most extensive, let me give you the uncomfortable arithmetic. There are 12,081 hills. Only 1,048 are above 100 meters. This means that just 8%, 8.7% of the Aravallis are protected. 90% of the Aravallis in Rajasthan can now be turned into golf courses and huge real estate projects, infrastructure building. Imagine the amount of money some big businessmen are going to make. Ladies and gentlemen, remember one thing, only Republic can ask this question. The corporate media cannot ask this question. The political media cannot ask this question. The 15 crore anchor paid by the government of India cannot ask this question. But I'm asking this question on your behalf. Who gains when 90% of a mountain range is removed from protection? Certainly not farmers. Certainly not our cities choking on dust. Certainly not our groundwater systems. But mining corporations, they just received the most powerful clearance of all, a judicial one. And its impact is mega. The Aravallis stop at the Thar Desert from advancing eastward into Haryana, Western UP and Delhi NCR. More than 90% of the Aravallis are stripped of legal protection. First, mining will boomerang. Legally this time. What was once illegal will now become procedurally legal. Scrub hills, low ridges, finished. Interhill corridors will be classified as non-Aravalli land, which means mining leases which were now once rejected will be quickly approved. Environment clearances will be granted very quickly. Foreign investors will come in. Some people will become billionaires overnight. State governments will argue, we're only following the Supreme Court's definition. This is the new trick for the government. This is the government's new trick. Sandera Sara brothers, we're doing nothing. The Supreme Court is deciding to give them a clean sheet. Aravallis, destruction, we're doing nothing. We're only making a recommendation. The Supreme Court is deciding. And corporations will make billions and billions and billions and billions. Foreign companies will come in. Corporations and extractive industries will be the big winners. People will lose. Mining corporations, stone crushers, cement manufacturers, real estate developers, all will boomerang. Why? Because the most resource-rich parts of the Aravallis are not the tallest hills. They are the lowered, fractured, mineral-heavy ranges, which have now been legally excluded from protection, unfortunately, by our own Supreme Court. By our own Supreme Court. And I want to ask the Supreme Court, honorable judges, with the greatest of respect to you, you need to answer this tonight. Why was the scientific definition given by the Forest Survey of India rejected by the committee? It is a simple question. The Forest Survey of India had defined the Aravallis in a particular way. That has now changed. Slopes, valleys, enclosures, continuity, all destroyed. Viewers, if you're listening to this tonight, let me tell you, nowhere in the world has what has happened in India happened anywhere. It's like saying, someone in America saying, Someone in Canada saying, destroy the mountain ranges. Just destroy them, because we've got to make money. From Ajmer to Jhunjhunu to Mahendragarh, all existing breaches will multiply. Dust corridors will open. Wind velocity, which is usually moderated by the low hill forests, will rise. You will have gales in Delhi. All of western Uttar Pradesh will be destroyed. Groundwater system will collapse across states. But you see, you will be told you can't question anything. Groundwater systems, reason number 4, will collapse. But why? Because Aravallis are not just hills, they are recharge machines. Every hectare can replenish 2 million liters of groundwater. Mining fractures rock layers, breaks aquifer connectivity, drain recharge zones, water tables already down to 1,000, 2,000 feet will fall further. Agriculture will fail. What is the government doing? Water conflicts will intensify across Rajasthan, Haryana and Delhi NCR. The Prime Minister needs to intervene. This will accelerate a future hydrological collapse. We will not be a Viksit Bharat. We will be an environmentally destroyed Bharat. And the government must think about farmers, because rural livelihoods will take the hit. Farmers will be destroyed. Soil will lose fertility. Crops will be coated in stone dust. Food security will decline across South Haryana and eastern Rajasthan. And meanwhile, the big businessmen will make lots of money. And after having made a lot of money, destroyed the country, like the other big businessmen, they will build huge homes in Dubai. Many of the men will become NRIs. And they don't give a damn for this country. And that is the real economic model this judgment enables. So I'm saying tonight, save the Aravallis. Save the Aravallis. This is our last chance. If the courts do not reverse themselves in this country on this decision, things will be very bad environmentally in this country. People must force a reconsideration. Governments do not protect ecosystems unless the cost of the inaction becomes politically unbearable. We want accountability. We want the Union Environment Ministry. We want the Prime Minister's office to step in. We're not asking for too much. And there is a context in which I'm saying this. The same Supreme Court says BS5 vehicles should not be allowed to Delhi. But the Aravalli range can be destroyed. Does this duality make sense to you? The same Supreme Court, and I have great respect for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court must speak and answer. On the one side, it is saying it's concerned about AQI in Delhi. But can the honorable judges please tell me, that when the Aravallis are destroyed, what will the AQI of Delhi be? Now, many people may think that we won't live long enough to see the consequences. That's where we again make a mistake. Even if we don't, we should care. None of us may be around 100 years from now. Probably won't be. At the way AQI is going, we won't be around 20 years from now. May all of you have long lives. But the question is this: should we not care about what our country's heritage is? This is not an environmental issue. It's a people issue. It's a heritage issue. Hashtag save the Aravallis. I'm stepping forth on this. The government must intervene, and the government must not think that the media of the country will not do its job. The government may think that the opposition does not exist. Rahul Gandhi is not a serious politician, so they can do what they want. But no, the people of India are the real opposition. And then, there is Republic. There is always Republic. Let's debate.
The Aravallis are supposed to be the oldest mountain range in the world. Their age varies from 2 to 3 billion years, which is 2,000 to 3,000 million years old. And what you can see here is an example of a well-preserved Aravalli forest. We are standing in Mangarbani.
India's oldest mountain range is facing a silent erasure. A Supreme Court order passed in November this year ordered that a landform is Aravalli only if it's 100 meters high.
On 20th of November, the Supreme Court gave a crucial judgment on the Aravallis. Under the new definition, Aravalli Hills are now being described as any landform in the Aravalli district with an elevation of 100 meters or more from the locals across the 692-kilometer range in northwest India. Experts are cautioning that unchecked damage could accelerate desertification from Thar Desert into Delhi, NCR and beyond. The warning is stark: save the Aravallis or risk losing a natural barrier that protects North India.
The impact is massive, as only 8.7% of the Aravalli range meets this new height rule. The rule implying that 91% of the range may no longer be counted as Aravalli. It is a double-edged sword. North India risks losing a vital biodiversity shield, while over 90% of the Aravallis could lose legal protection, opening the door to unchecked mining. This range stretches across Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana and Delhi, shaping North India's climate and survival. Illegal quarrying has already scarred 25% of the range. It's a national campaign now to save the Aravallis.
My first guest on this very worrying subject, and yes, I'm going interactive on it, I will open the lines, is Ranjit Kumar, former Solicitor General of India. He's been senior advocate and amicus curiae in the Aravalli cases since 1995. Not presently, though. So, Mr. Ranjit Kumar, thank you. I think this is very disastrous. You have been amicus curiae in the case. Something has changed in the last 3 years from protecting the Aravallis completely to allowing the destruction of the Aravallis in the last 3 years, and now they are saying anything below 100 meters can be destroyed. So India's most ancient mountain range is going to be destroyed. What choice do people have? Can you tell us why this change has happened?
Well, I can't really say why there is a change that has happened with respect to why the Aravallis should at all be disturbed for mining, because there is a judgment which was rendered by the Supreme Court not once, twice, but thrice.
Yes.
And that is right from 2002, then 2005, up to 2018.
Yeah.
That there will be no mining in the Aravallis.
Yeah.
All the Aravalli minings were closed down.
Yeah.
And after the closure of that minings, the water recharge happened to a great extent, and there is afforestation. If you see, go down to Faridabad, where most of it was happening, in the hills of the Aravalli at the Faridabad and in Gurgaon areas. And there is a government notification of the Forest Department which also banned it. And the Supreme Court upheld that, and that order, that judgment has not been altered. So in my respectful submission, if a judgment of the court has not been altered, a direction being issued in an order that no, you have to reconsider this in this manner is, according to me, not in accordance with law, and therefore it needs to be revisited by the Supreme Court itself.
So, but the Supreme Court doesn't understand that the environmental impact, or Supreme Court doesn't care?
No, I won't say that the Supreme Court doesn't care. According to me, all the assistance that is required from the Supreme Court by placing all the judgments that are already existing, which has, according to me, probably, I say with all due respect and a disclaimer, probably have not been brought to the notice of the court when this order was passed. It was appropriate for somebody to have brought this.
So why has the Supreme Court become pro-mining? Sir, 1 minute. So the Supreme Court should not have any interest in mining. Why did the Supreme Court refuse to ban ongoing mining in a fragile ecological zone? Because in its order, the court has mentioned multiple times that the ongoing mining in the Aravalli Hills will not be banned by the court. Para 27, we do not propose to impose any such ban on the present legal mining activities that are already happening. Then, Para 48, the court in an earlier occasion noticed that the ill consequences of imposing a complete ban on mining activity in the state of Bihar and others, blah, blah, blah. This is an extraordinary concession because the state cannot enforce the law. The court chooses to lower its environmental standards. Is judicial policy now shaped by fear of mafia rather than by constitutional duty? Why is administrative failure rewarded with regulatory relaxation? The court seems to take an extraordinary keenness in allowing mining to continue. Why?
According to me, there was a Punjab Act of 1901 which was sought to be enforced by the court, and that the Haryana Assembly had brought about a bill for the purpose of overcoming that, but that also the Supreme Court had restrained it, that you will not take any action with reference to any act because the matters are pending in Supreme Court. So I don't know what subsequently has happened because I had left all these matters as amicus some 4 or 5 years ago. And I am not abreast with everything, but I definitely read, when I read the news about this order to define what is a mountain under the Aravallis, I was definitely alarmed by it. And if it will
the court now decides what if a mountain tomorrow with the respect to the courts, suppose a 2-judge bench or 3-judge bench sits and says, I don't think these are the Himalayas. I mean, the way things are going, the Supreme Court of India can say tomorrow, these are not the Himalayas, you construct a casino there. Nothing happens. Mining must continue. Is this the way the court operates, sir? The court was warned, the court knows, the honorable court cannot pretend to be ignorant, sir. The court was warned that the environment ecology will be destroyed. The court was warned, sir. The court has chosen in its infinite wisdom to disregard the warnings. Allow the green barrier to be destroyed. Allow a mountain range to be destroyed. The Supreme Court of India is allowing a mountain range to be destroyed. Ranjit Kumarji, we cannot be quiet about this. People will speak up. The court has arrogated upon itself the right in its ultimate self-given wisdom, the godlike status of deciding what is a mountain range and what is not. Sir, I am sorry, with greatest of respect to the courts, the godlike status the courts have given up. The gods created the mountains, sir, not the Supreme Court.
Through the aquifers.
I don't know.
The mountain, there are aquifers which are second, third thing below, and all the water goes in there, it recharges the water table.
Which means
the water table in the entire
the court knows that aquifers will go, the country will be destroyed.
And these were the ways. And secondly, you don't want a desertification of Delhi. The judgment of the court says on a scientific basis that if the Aravallis were destroyed, there will be desertification of Delhi.
Terrible.
So what Delhi may become is a desert, which according to me is a very, very appalling kind of situation if it were to happen.
Sir,
so according to me, the Aravallis should be protected, ought to be protected. And
reverse the order, reverse the order, reverse the order, rethink the order is what I say tonight.
Supreme Court.
Sir, the Supreme Court is not infallible. We have a lot of respect for the Supreme Court, but maybe it did not consider all facts before coming to this judgment. Ranjit Kumar, former Solicitor General, I thank you very much, sir. You've been amicus curiae in the case. You've been great to start the debate. I thank you very much. I want to open up the debate. Ladies and gentlemen, Save Aravalli campaign social activist Shubhra Puri, MD Sinha, former Principal Secretary to the Government of Haryana, Citizen Voices Kavita Maharishi Ashok, environment activist from Jaipur, and NS Napinai, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. And on the other side tonight, Tanushri Bhalla, Attorney, Jurist, Supreme Court, with me in the studio. J. Anand Dehadra is defending the Supreme Court judgment, and Raman Malik is there. I am delighted that Kailash Vasudev Suni, advocate in the Supreme Court, continues to be with us. Thank you very much, sir. Don't defend the indefensible. Tanushri, there is nothing to defend. With the headline here is Supreme Court allows destruction of Aravallis. This is crazy. This is going to be opposed. People will not accept it.
May I?
Yeah.
You see, there are two stands on this, Arnab. One is my personal stand, and the other is the court stand, right? So now, personally, do I think that Aravallis should be destroyed? Absolutely not. It's a biodiverse area. It has to be conserved, and that has been my personal stand for many years. Now, coming back to this judgment, there is a stand of the government, and there is the judgment that has come, the order that has come, which is currently
Each is
under
shooting
debate.
off the other's shoulder. The government is shooting off the court's shoulder, and the court is shooting off the government shoulder. This is very convenient.
Exactly. So, but what I request to mention here is that it has become, as Mr. Salve also pointed out the other day when he was here at the Republic, it has become a very, it has become a very saddening trend that whenever the government wants to do something controversial, it puts its gun on the shoulder of the court and says, "Oh, the court did it. We don't know what happened." The definition.
Did the Supreme Court? Did the Supreme Court create the Aravalli mountain range?
It did not.
Did the Supreme Court create the river systems, the aquifers, and the forests?
It did not. And
did the Supreme Court one day sit 1.8 billion years back? Did the Supreme Court sit, did a three-judge bench of the Supreme Court, everyone on, sit on a December morning 1.8 billion years back?
Absolutely.
And say, we will now create the Aravalli mountains? Who is, sorry to say this, but how is the Supreme Court saying that these are not the Aravalli mountains? I mean, I've heard of many things. I've always felt Supreme Court is exceeding its brief. And it's very convenient for a government that wants to destroy the Aravalli mountains, but does not have the guts to, so it makes the Supreme Court do it on its behalf. Am I right, sir? Am I right? Kailash Vastudev, is the government very conveniently saying, give the file to Supreme Court, they'll sign it? Am I right, Kailash Vastudev? That's what's happening. Is that what's happening? Why do you think so, sir? I'll
tell you why.
Yes, sir.
You see, look at the appointment of judges. Let me diversify a little bit. The decision taken in the Advocates on Record case was a judge will be appointed only if there's a consensus between the collegium.
Absolutely. Agreed.
But today that has gone. Even if one member disagrees, you are supposed to not appoint that person. That was the tradition. Now coming to the issue of the Supreme Court functioning. You reverse judgments, you alter them, the Arbitration Act judgments, the judgments in commercial laws, the judgments pertaining to the environment, the judgments pertaining to the old cars, everything is in reversal. If you're going to have a reversal of everything which is good or everything which is bad, I can understand. But if you're going to act contrary to statute, now the Aravallis come under the Biodiversity Act.
Absolutely.
It's a statutory provision. There are judgments of the Supreme Court starting from 94, 95, Justice Kuldeep Singh in MC Mehta saying, don't build on the Aravallis, don't touch the Aravallis. But today it is destroy the Aravallis. Why? For what good reason?
Exactly.
To make golf courses, sir. To make condominiums, sir. I'm telling you, private companies are going to make at least 1,000,000 crore rupees on this. You know the amount of money? They're going to destroy the country and make money. They're going to destroy the country, and I would request the Supreme Court, I would request the Chief Justice of India to intervene and not allow this insanity to happen. This is insanity. Lines will be open. Ladies and gentlemen, scan yours. Speak up on this. And if you are a parent, tell your children, tell your schools, tell colleges to do projects, build the pressure, save the mountain range. Who is that, Raman? Is that Raman?
Yeah.
Yes, Raman?
Yes, Arnab. Okay, I have some points which has to be very upfront, and some people have to understand this, whether it is the Honorable Supreme Court judges, whether it is a Babu Dome, whether it is anybody. You have to understand Aravalli has a history of 1 billion years, as you said, but we have also found out artifacts ranging back to 40,000 years, and some places even 100,000 year back tools. You have to understand the biodiversity of Aravalli, where you have 1.32 lakh variety of botany there. You have to understand the kind of wild animals that are there, which are going to be lost forever. And this leads me back to the high-headedness of some of the judges of the Honorable Supreme Court, like Justice Amity did a decision way back. Now one has to understand that something like this cannot be tackled in a manner which is so blatant and butchery. You cry about Gurugram flooding. The judges are so concerned about Gurugram flooding, but the Gurugram flooding does not happen if these kinds of things continue. Where they will, if the destruction happens, it will continue to be flooded. So one has to understand that everything that you say today has a cost and action.
No, 1 minute. Thank you for a very long answer, which is actually meaningless. I just want to say this tonight, that we are on a precipice. We are going to open up the calls tonight. The Aravallis are going to be destroyed. Big companies are coming to destroy India's largest, oldest mountain range, believe it or not. And the Supreme Court, I don't know who allowed them to do this. They feel they are going to get away with this. Will they? Shubhra Puri, you're part of the Save Aravalli campaign. How much response are you getting, Shubhra, to this campaign? Who are you taking this campaign amongst? And how would you explain the purpose of your mission to all the viewers of Republic Today?
Thank you, Arnab. First of all, it really warms the heart that Republic Television has taken up this cause, this critical cause. We are talking to various citizens, concerned citizens, RWA heads, NGOs, and we are trying to tell people, we are trying to build awareness on this criticality of this ruling. And many people, for example, are not aware how long the Aravallis is and how interconnected the various systems are between air, water, plants, animals. So we are really seeing that the citizens are responding in a very emotional way, and they're feeling concerned about it. It's connected to air pollution. It is connected to water recharge. It's connected to protecting the plants and animals in the Aravallis. And first and foremost, Aravallis are a legacy. Like I've said in my song also, that it is our dharohar. It's our legacy. And once destroyed, Aravallis are destroyed forever. No amount of money, no amount of any governance is going to bring this back. So once destroyed, it will be replaced by concrete. And what will happen to our lives? It is something to think about. What will happen to our future generations? This is what worries us. And I'm sure every citizen is concerned.
Unplanned infrastructure will come in.
Yeah, and keep in mind one thing, that the Supreme Court had actually asked for a scientific definition of the Aravalli from the Forest Survey.
Yes.
The Forest Survey gave the definition. Then the Supreme Court discarded it. Then why did you ask for it? Jay, the Supreme Court is also not beyond question, and we are questioning the wisdom of the Supreme Court here. What is this wisdom? The definition of the Aravallis came from the Forest Survey of India pursuant to a direct order from the Supreme Court itself. The definition recognizes slopes, buffers, valleys, enclosures and continuity, the very elements that make a mountain range a living ecological system, not a collection of isolated bumps. Today, the Supreme Court walked away from that definition. It discarded the definition. It did not even have the decency to explain why it discarded the definition. The Supreme Court refused to ban ongoing mining. It knows it's a fragile economic zone. This creates a one-way gate. Once mining begins, ecological protection ends. Paryavaran is finished. The entire northern map of India will be changed once and for all. I don't remember there being this on part of the BJP manifesto when it was elected. The BJP didn't say we will destroy the Aravallis. Did it say that? It said we'll bring a uniform civil code, which it still has not done. It didn't say we will destroy the Aravallis. Where is the environment minister, by the way? Where is the environment minister? The court was warned. And today, none of the media are speaking about this. Jayanand Dehadra, you're defending what the court has done. Please put forward your defense, then we'll counter it.
Arnab, at the outset, I think it's commendable that you've taken up this issue. I think it's a very sensitive issue. It's a very emotive issue. But at the same time, I think there has been a gross exaggeration and mischaracterization of what the Honorable Supreme Court has decided in this case. Now, your research is...
Tomorrow, if the Supreme Court says, allow me one minute intervention. Tomorrow, if the Supreme Court, says that in our wisdom, this is not a tributary of the Brahmaputra, this is not a tributary of the Ganges, this is not part of the Gangetic system, destroy it. You are creating a precedent where rivers and mountains of this country can be destroyed at will upon the whims and fancies of a Supreme Court bench.
The point, I have a very nuanced view. I have a very nuanced view in this regard. I don't for a moment stand for destroying any ecological feature of this country, let alone the Aravallis. But please look at paragraph 38 of the judgment. The Supreme Court had constituted a centrally empowered committee of experts. Those experts have said that there will be no new mining leases except where atomic minerals are concerned. Now, Arnab, you are someone who understands national security better than most people. I don't need to emphasize or rather overemphasize the importance of what I have just pointed out to you. That is point number one. Two, mining has been going on here for decades and decades together. There has always been ambiguity with regard to the definition of what constitutes the height of, the hills there. And finally, this judgment removes those decades of, decades of ambiguity, finally goes for the first time, which brings me to my third point, that finally we will have now sustainable mining that will go on there, Arnab. I cannot overstate the importance of this. This eliminates the discretion that was available to bureaucrats.
Thank you, Jay. I understood this.
Unscrupulous mining.
1 minute, Jay.
So
Jay, 1 minute. Allow me a minute, please. Allow me a minute.
Please.
This is, unfortunately, and I'm intervening, I'm bringing in Kavita Maharishi and then MD Sinha and everyone. This is a fashionable and misused word, sustainable. Sustainable mining. Huh? Sustainable mining. Sustainable clothes. Sustainable fashion. Sustainable tailors. Sustainable concrete. Sustainable pollution.
Environmental impact.
No, tomorrow we'll have a new word, MD Sinha. Sustainable pollution. Pollution that is sustainable. Please don't try to misguide me. Para 56. In the meantime, the mining activities in the mines which are already in operation would be continued. In strict compliance with the recommendations made by the committee in para 8 of its report.
Those are legitimate.
1 minute. Do not fool me. I'm too smart. I'm too smart on this. See, environmental damage, I plead. Environmental damage, MD Sinha, does not reset to zero because mining is labeled as present or legal. My question remains. The Honorable Supreme Court of India was warned. The amicus curiae had stated in his submission, and I quote, if the definition as recommended by the committee is accepted, all the hills below the height of 100 meters would be opened up for mining. As a result, the Aravalli hills and ranges would lose their continuity and integrity. It would totally endanger the environment and ecology of the mountains. That means everything will be finished. The Aravallis will be destroyed.
No,
please, and I have never seen any country, any country's court come and say destroy the mountain range. You have my permission to do so. Where is the environment minister, please, by the way? Who is the environment minister? Bhupendra Yadav, last heard in the race to be BJP president? Nowhere. Maybe too busy in politics, not answerable to the people of India. MD Sinha, what's going on, sir?
See, there's nothing called sustainable mining. Open cast mining of the type that is done in Aravallis is not sustainable. Yeah. It is, you can have controlled mining, which should be. But the problem, the fundamental question we should ask here is why do you need to define the Aravallis? Have we defined the Himalayas? Have we defined River Ganges? Have we defined the Vindhyas? Why do you need to define you need to define because since 1992, government orders and Supreme Court's directions have always used the word Aravallis to offer protection to these hills. And in order to get out of those rigmarole and these a lot of these orders, you needed to just remove the word Aravallis. In 2016, people came up with the idea that there's no Aravallis because it's not entered in the revenue records. Well, it's neither are the Himalayas or the Vindhyas or so in Ganges or the Narmada in the record. But since we managed to locate a map dating 1893, clearly laying out and
Sir, can I ask you, Mr. Sinha, can you give me the inside story here? Without naming companies or individuals, can you just tell me, is this not about making a lot of money? Who's going to make money? How much money will they make? What is at stake commercially?
They tried to take over DLF. Mention it.
Let me give you the figures. Forest Survey of India did a survey based on the orders of the Supreme Court in 2011.
Keep changing.
They identified 4 million hectares in 15 districts of Rajasthan, 1,19,000 hills. The Solicitor ASG on 11th of November categorically stated before the court that the criteria of 100 meters will include more hills. Now, 100 meters and above in the 15 districts of Rajasthan only number 1,048 hills. Less than 1%. Arnab, it is not 8.7%, it is less than 1%. So the problem is that the mining lobby and the real estate lobby in Gurgaon, Faridabad, etc. are the ones behind
it. Protections, none of the legislations Arnab, that are available, such as the Forest Conservation Act, have been diluted. This is utter and complete nonsense. My friend should read the judgment first before coming to such a, before making such a sweeping statement. This is absolutely wrong. What is at stake are the livelihoods of millions of individuals. Alarmism.
I put this point.
With great respect to the...
No, it's all right. I want to know what is the judiciary doing in our country. What is the judiciary doing? What are the priorities? I'm very sorry to say that are the people the priority for the judiciary or not? This is the country's highest court, which in its infinite wisdom has said you can destroy the Aravallis. Kavita Maharishi Ashok is on the debate as well. As far as I know, only 92% of the Aravallis in Rajasthan are open for exploitation. In Rajasthan alone. People are saying all the green barriers are going to be destroyed. What will happen to the farmers if the ecology goes for a toss?
Yeah. Thank you, Arnab. I think it's all hell breaking loose because see what we did to Gurgaon. We created, concrete there. I think the plan is to do that here also. And people are forgetting. The court is forgetting that once you, clear the Aravallis for urbanization, for the greed of the corporates and short-sightedness of the politicians, you are going to create another concrete jungle here. So there's a lot of imbalance between the law and the land. People, I think the court has given this order and we totally are very disheartened. I've been listening to you in this debate and I'm so, I've lost all hope because I feel nobody's making a move and there needs to be a full nation voice. There needs to be a collective voice so that it reaches deaf ears because unless people come together, nobody is going to, the politicians are not going to listen to us. So, so it is becoming a one-sided affair in everything. Every order is passed, and
something's very suspicious here, because Ms. Napinai, everything has been done in a hurry. Now we are being told there are Mr. Jay Anand Dehadrai says that atomic minerals will be found. So atomic minerals are found in large parts of the country. But how is it that the Aravallis are being targeted? Because some real estate people, some big money people have identified this, said you just say that they are not mountains. Once you change the definition, nobody can oppose us. This is the first time in the history of India a mountain range is being destroyed. This is not capitalism.
No.
This is not even crony capitalism. This is going to open the doors to super crony capitalism. Never seen before. India will be destroyed if the Aravallis are destroyed.
Already there.
Ms. Napinai, you're listening to this debate. What are the consequences of this?
Yes, thank you for bringing me in, Arnab. Firstly, there is a doctrine of stare decisis in law, which says that a court will not unduly disturb an existing judgment. The former Attorney General already pointed out the 3 judgments that have already come out for protecting the Aravallis. So if a court is trying to modify that, then there has to be just cause and it has to be substantiated. So I've heard my learned friend also, and let me give you a little bit of input in terms of how the flow of this judgment goes. And I must say, in all the twists and turns it takes, it seems to have missed the focus, which is that environment needs to be protected. If you go by this very same Supreme Court's judgment earlier in the MC Mehta case, they talk about how priority should always be given to public health, and I would read environment, fundamental rights, etc. into it, as opposed to the balance sheet of private parties. I'm quoting the judgment here. So when you look at this judgment and why the FSI's definition is being set aside, you need clarity and specificity on why you believe definition A is better than definition B, and why you would want to cite definition A, and what are the protective measures or ring fencing that you're doing. And all of this needs to be captured within the judgment itself. What you have today is, and I'll take you to very briefly to para 7 here, which talks about what are core and inviolate areas. That merely sets out a series of options, but with the qualifier, it may be qualified as a core or inviolate area. So the judgment fails to clearly set out. It also captures the fact that this is an ecologically sensitive area. It has to be dealt with carefully. It should be protected, etc. But then just abruptly goes on to accept the committee's definition without realizing, or I wouldn't use the word realizing, that would be a misstatement, but without
what does the
giving due weight
Raman.
to the fact that this action is likely to harm the very same.
What is the moratorium factor in the new for the new lease? Why is that there?
It goes on to say that the MPSM has to be
if the whole prospect is that of corruption, then why new leases is kind of barred?
Raman, I want to remind you that when Aurangzeb tried to attack the Aravallis, I'll tell you one thing, and its sacred Nilkant Mahadev temple, the story is that a swarm of bees came from nowhere and destroyed the Mughal army. So everyone should realize that the swarm of the people are always there. The days of the Mughals are over. The new citizens of the country will not accept the destruction of the Aravalli range.
The intent was wrong.
What is happening? You want to make golf courses.
If the intent was wrong,
no. For you, if your government is prioritizing golf courses and 100 crore apartments over the people of India, the people of India will give a fitting reply to this. Raman, don't forget.
Arnab,
people are watching
this.
This
is very clear. The government is not doing this. This is not the
government is allowing this.
I can tell you one thing for clear, with whatever has been happening.
Sir, you are wrong. Sir, you are wrong. Sir, you are wrong. The government has authorized this.
No, Manohar Lal Khattar proposed a 10,000 acre. Manohar Lal Khattar proposed a 10,000 acre national park there. In the Mangarbani and adjacent areas.
It stopped.
And getting a tiger safari and lion safari and things like that over there.
And now?
From Gurgaon, right down to Noor.
And now you will blame whom? What is the government doing now?
So already that project
what is the government doing now?
That project
Why
is
the
already
Prime Minister
there.
not intervening? The Aravallis are going to be destroyed within the next 6 months starting.
If that is the case, why do you not call the JNU, which is again on the hill of...
The interesting fact here is that 2010, the Ministry of Environment came up with a definition.
Arnab, just one second.
No.
And now the ministry itself has done a volte-face and gone against its own decision in 2010. You need to protect these areas. 5 million hectares of Aravallis in 3-4 states.
Yeah.
You mine 10%, leave 90% aside. This order does exactly the opposite. It frees 90% and just saves 10%.
Sinha sir, if I may. Basically, I think to the extent, just to the limited extent of the judgment here for the Supreme Court, I have a feeling that somewhere the activists and whoever was representing the activists have not perhaps been able to convince the Honorable Supreme Court in all their wisdom that these 4 states or these 5 states which have the Aravalli ranges have had different definitions for the mountain range and the...
Why do you blame the environmentalists? Because the citizens' report was submitted to the Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change.
Give me 1 minute.
The Modi government must tell us that when citizens' report are put to them, do they put it in the dustbin?
I am coming to that. Just give me 1 minute.
So the minister knew.
Give me 1 minute.
Modi government minister knew.
Exactly. Please.
What did the Modi government minister do?
Give me 1 minute to complete this.
No. What is the responsibility and onus of the government?
Exactly.
I know the report that was given to the Modi government. What did the Modi government do?
If I may, sir.
So
get 1 minute.
It's not like you're not aware.
I'll just take 1 minute. I absolutely agree with Mr. Goswami with what he's saying, that the government has been aware of this. And I have a feeling, for example, I believe that somebody has not properly presented the point that the Aravallis in Rajasthan and the Aravallis in Gujarat are not at the same level as they are in the Delhi Ridge or within Haryana. If you level them below 100 meters, all of Delhi Ridge will be destroyed, and today we can't breathe as it is, we don't have AQI. The responsibility...
So can the Modi government recreate a mountain range?
It can't.
Can the Supreme Court build the Aravallis again?
Absolutely.
Then what right do they have to destroy it?
The court has only gone ahead and accepted
the definition
that government provided. Then the government has to be answerable. As Mr. Goswami said, the environment minister has to be...
Mr. Sinha.
We have not defined. There is no need for a definition. I have worked in the Aravallis for the last 35 years. The 1992
but then that needs to be presented properly to the court, sir.
Lays down what is the Aravallis.
Exactly.
You don't need to define
it. Will we say 50 years from now when the Aravallis are gone, that, some bureaucrat forgot to put one thing in page number 112 and present it to one of the members in the 3-judge bench? Are we going to say this?
The court can only interpret what is put to it.
No, the court knows everything. The court knows everything. Sir, is the court so unaware? So you tell me, sir. You tell me. The attempt is to say here, Kailash ji, that the poor court doesn't know anything. It's been misled. Do you believe that, sir?
Look, this judgment has to go.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This judgment has to go.
The reason is this.
Exactly.
There are 2 of the oldest mountain ranges in the world, the Aravallis and the Vindhyas. The Vindhyas are the source of the Narmada and other rivers. The Aravallis are the water catchment areas for 3 states, 3 dry states, Rajasthan, Haryana, and parts of Gujarat. They are the foundations. They are the foundations for the protection of Delhi from everything. I have a photograph which I wanted to
put the photograph on. Show the photograph. Is the photograph there? We'll pull the photograph. And before that, I want to open the lines. Is the big photograph on?
The reason is this.
Is it being brought to the studio?
If the Aravallis and the Vindhyas are not protected, you will have nothing to do in the...
That's the photograph. What does it show, sir?
I'll just show it to you.
You're seeing that. It's on screen now. Can you see it, sir?
Where?
They're on the screen. We've taken your photograph.
Yes.
What is that?
Clear.
Full frame, sir. Tell me, what is this photograph?
I'll tell you. This is a photo. As the amicus in the court, I had requested the air officers to give me a copy of the photograph of Delhi. Unfortunately, it's not showing clearly.
It can't be shown clearly. You can make your points.
If you can just keep it here.
Anyway, you can project it, but I can't do it for the director. Director didn't plan this out, so we're not.
I'll tell you what it is.
They made a slimmer version of the photograph.
It doesn't matter. The reason I am referring to this is Delhi was protected by the Aravallis from the north, from the invaders, from the other sides because of this, and it kept the Yamuna alive.
Yes, it did.
Now, the Aravallis have become encroached upon.
Yeah.
everything is gone, and 60% of the Aravallis are encroached.
Yeah, the point is that...
Yeah, just a minute, in this photograph, if I may.
No, you can make your point.
I'm just showing you.
No, I can see it, sir. Don't.
If you see it here, you will find the Yamuna streaking along the right.
Yeah.
Below that, you will find a green patch, which is the notified forests of Delhi. That is the
Ridge forests.
Yeah.
Yes, those are notified forests.
Yes.
Now, in those forests, 60% has been occupied by encroachers.
By encroachers.
The Supreme Court has been saying, get rid of it. What I want to say is this: the Aravallis in Delhi have become redundant. Your climate conditions in Delhi are changing.
I'll take two callers. Captain Christopher Verma from Mumbai. Captain Verma, two callers tonight. Captain Verma. Captain Verma, sir.
You can hear me?
I can hear you, Chendra. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay. First of all, to get to the point, should the judgment be reversed? The answer is yes. If you look at your voting, it is hovering around 95%.
95%. Yeah, 96%.
It was even 100% at one time.
It was, sir.
Arnab, hats off to you for your introduction on the subject.
Thank you.
You articulated it so well, where I find it very difficult to comprehend how these people who are speaking against the motion here can even have that common sense that we should not demolish
So
this.
they're taking us for
There was
granted.
a time, Arnab, when I went to school in Delhi and I was breathing fresh air. I was in Delhi 2 days ago and I could hardly breathe. There's a gentleman earlier, I think his name is Mr. Jay. He mentioned that in the interest of national security, mining should be done. What national security? Does he even understand what national security is?
Yeah. No, sir, that's complete rubbish, sir. That's rubbish. I'm running short of time, but from Jabalpur, where I did my class 12, I have Major General Nishchay Raut who's calling. General.
Jai Hind, Arnab Goswami ji.
Jai Hind,
Jai Hind. Arnab ji, first of all, thank you very much broaching this particular topic, because I was appalled. Actually, appalled is not the correct word. I was hurt to learn this particular judgment of the Apex Court.
Absolutely.
I really do not know, Arnab ji, where this idea of eating up Aravalli came from.
I don't know, sir.
Maybe, I don't know whether it was real estate mafia or mining mafia, or maybe greed of the government to earn more revenue, or maybe I don't know, maybe...
Since private sector will make money, sir, the government will allow it.
No, it came from the Rajasthan government in 2017 because of the bombing in mining.
I'm far over the time limit.
So basically, genesis of this thing comes from Rajasthan government. And of course, the other criteria was that, the Haryana government came up with, was that any hill that is 500 years younger is not Aravalli.
No, sir, this is all... So these are all the government... Sir, the Haryana government did not create the Aravallis. The politicians should stay in their place. The Supreme Court should know its limits. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if I've upset the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court also should stop getting into everything and allowing everything. How did the courts allow the destruction of the Aravallis? The nation wants to know. Honorable judges of the Supreme Court, the nation wants to know. See you tomorrow. Good night and goodbye.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप